Hey everybody, on today's adventure, I'm heading out freediving with some bull sharks off the coast of South Florida. So here I am freediving down. This whole thing's going to be on freedive, no scuba, and we had a lot of beautiful bull sharks coming. Whew, check that one out. That one came in a little bit hot, but they're all circling around, trying to check me out a little bit, and I'm trying to get some awesome shots of them. So in one hand, I've got my Canon 90D in an Aquatica housing, and the other hand, I've got the GoPro on a pole, so we can get some video of these guys as well. Check that out, man. What a beautiful shot. So bull sharks are infamous. They are the one that most people know. If you ask people about sharks, most people know. Great white sharks, bull shark, tiger shark maybe, right? That one came in nice and close, very pretty. So bull sharks, though, they really do get a really bad reputation, and they don't really quite deserve it. Now, don't get me wrong, these are apex predators. They are potentially very dangerous and deadly. People do get killed by them sometimes. But when this happens, it's usually because of a very specific kind of situation. It usually involves murky water or spearfishing, where you have the shark's natural prey struggling in the water, getting them all riled up, or something along these kind of lines. Now, when you set up the situation correctly, though, such as what we're doing right now, where we don't have any struggling live fish, this is a baited dive, though. We do have a bait crate to attract them with some chum, but we have no live struggling fish around, anything like that. And so the sharks are relatively calm. I'm also staying very calm, very deliberate in my actions, not splashing and flailing and creating commotion. And we're working in nice, clear water, as you can see. So the sharks are very, very calm. And, I've actually never had any real bad run-ins with these guys, knock on wood. But, whenever I'm doing these dives, the sharks are very calm. They're a little bit curious. You see this one coming in, but for the most part, they're actually pretty darn shy. And again, bull sharks are just notorious. Everybody talks about how aggressive they are and all this kind of stuff. During this dive, I am literally surrounded by at least 20 bull sharks. And as you can see, they're just kind of cruising around relatively calmly. They're not being aggressive. They're not whipped into a frenzy or trying to attack. And by the way, the only thing I have to defend myself is nothing. I just have a camera in my hand. I don't even have a dive knife. I don't carry a spear gun, anything. And that is not arrogance. That's an understanding that it's just not necessary here. Now, I know we'll get some comments. People like, oh, one day. That's the most popular comment. People say, one day. Well, I've been doing this for many, many years, and it's really about understanding the animal, not pushing the boundary too far, and understanding these are thinking, intelligent animals that are going to make a decision based on environmental cues, and that's going to dictate their behavior. And so we understand and try to control these points. That's what's going to create a situation like this. Now, as I head down, you can see I'm holding my nose right there, so I'm equalizing, and that is to equalize the pressure in my ears as I freedive down. Now, again, a note about freediving, since some people may not be familiar. So freediving is where I'm holding my breath as I go down, and I'm doing everything just on one breath of air. And that's my preferred way of interacting with wildlife, just more natural, and the bubbles of scuba sometimes scare some animals, depends on the species and individual, whether or not they're used to it. But I do scuba dive as well. I do quite a few scuba trips each year, but I really do love the freediving, and it's just a more natural, enjoyable experience to me. Now here you can see this bull shark coming right up nice and close. Boom, noses right up against the camera. So they have the ampullae of Lorenzini on their face, these little black dots, and those are electrosensory organs. So they can pick up the electrical signal from the camera, and sometimes they're very attracted to it. They want to come check it out. As you can see, this one right up nice and close as well. Now, as this next shark comes by, take a look right there on the side. That's a bite mark from another shark you can see there. Now, it's healed up pretty well, and from that situation, there's no real information I can gather from that. I don't know what caused it, how big the other shark was, what species, anything, but it is kind of interesting to see that bite mark on the side of the shark. Now, for being the notorious super aggressive bull shark, I look pretty calm and relaxed, and just look at that. It's amazing. They're not what people think they are. They really are misunderstood. And wow, look at that shot, right over my head. Just literally buzzed right over my head. And when you get to see them like this, you really get the opportunity to appreciate them, not in just the normal Hollywood rah rah trying to kill everybody kind of viewpoint, right? Now, as I'm up closer to the surface like I am right now, you'll notice everything has more of a reddish tint to it, so that is the camera trying to balance the light. Depending on what depth I'm going at, it's going to influence how the colors come up on the camera. Now you might notice this little kind of discolored rough patch between the primary and secondary dorsal fins. So that rough patch, after speaking to a few different biologists, somebody told me that it's from parasites that they pick up, but it's pretty ubiquitous. You'll see it on almost every bull shark out here. Now, as I free dive down, you'll see I'm looking up, down, side to side, all around. It's kind of like I always make the analogy of being a fighter pilot. You have to really have good situational awareness, keep your head on a swivel, and always be looking around every different direction to see where the sharks are coming from. Because the sharks are actually very aware of what you're aware of. They can see where you're looking, and they're going to come in from the opposite side. So they do like to try to come up behind you to check you out. Now, they're not coming in to attack. They are coming in just because they're curious, but you always want to kind of try to face them and just mitigate that just in case. As you can see, look at this guy, and he just kind of turns away. That's really your number one, I don't want to say defense, but number one deterrent against shark approaching is just to look at it. Because once you make eye contact, they're very aware of that. It takes away the element of surprise, and they usually turn away. Now, with all these bull sharks cruising around, it brings up one of the coolest features of bull sharks, and that is the fact that they will swim up into fresh water. Now, this is a couple miles offshore of Florida, so this is all saltwater right here. But they are capable of actually swimming upstream, up rivers, and into fresh water. And they're one of the few sharks that actually do this. Bull sharks have actually been found 1,740 miles up the Mississippi River, all the way up near St. Louis. So that really gives you an idea of just how far up into freshwater these guys can go. Now, when people hear that, everybody always freaks out. They're like, oh my God, that means I can be attacked by them in freshwater. Guys, I'm surrounded by 20 of them right now. They're not attacking me. They're not going to attack you up in the freshwater rivers near the ocean, okay? Now, if you're in that murky water where river water hits the ocean, they do like to actually feed right there. And in that murky situation where they're feeding, you don't want to swim in there. But you really don't have any fear of being 1,000 miles upstream and being attacked by a random bull shark in the Mississippi. That's just not reality. Now in this next clip, you're going to see all the sharks all riled up. I just barely missed getting the GoPro on in time, but they're all going crazy over a chunk of bait that fell out of the crate right there. So you can see all the bait fish and the bull sharks come cruising in, and you'll notice I'm right there next to them. They're not attacking me. They're not coming after me, right? So they do tell the difference as long as you're in clear water between you and the bait. By now you've probably noticed quite a few of the sharks do have fishing hooks in their mouth. This one has fishing line trailing out behind it. So unfortunately this is a pretty ubiquitous part of the environment out here. Fishing has touched literally everything here, and you'll see a lot of them with hooks and line hanging out. Now sometimes the sharks, it'll just rust out. It won't really harm them too bad, but in other cases I have very often seen sharks with broken jaws from hook and line, or where it rusts out. Nice decent sized little hole in them. There's a couple different things that can happen. Hook into the eye, I've seen that quite a lot too. So unfortunately this does happen pretty often. Now you'll see as I go to take photos, some of the sharks are attracted to the light or the camera itself. Some of them are a little bit scared of it if they're not sure what's going on. But don't worry, the flash photography doesn't really bother them too much. If they do react, as you can see this one does, he just turns away. Not a big deal. But watch this shark that's coming up behind me. He sees I'm not looking, I'm not paying attention, comes in pretty quickly right up behind me, and then I turn last second, see him, and he immediately turns away. Now, as most people know, sharks shed and regrow their teeth, cycling through thousands in a lifetime, and here I spotted one. Out on the surface, there it is. Look at that. Caught it like a snowflake in my hand. So I actually saw it up on the surface, follow the shark's mouth, and float down. So I dove down as quick as I could and got a hold of it to check it out. And once I came back up on the surface with this, was able to actually look it up close. It's very sharp, very serrated, a little bit of blood on the back of it, fresh out of the shark. How cool is that? So a nice little bull shark tooth. Now you'll see it's kind of small. It's not as big as most people think they are. They're not all huge teeth, but that's a nice bull shark tooth right there. What's really cool too, speaking of shark teeth, is sharks have been dropping teeth like that for the last over 400 million years. And so, through the fossil record, we can actually find fossilized shark teeth. And Florida is an amazing place to actually find these fossilized shark teeth. Not in this area I'm diving in right now, but on the west coast of Florida and in northern Florida, you can actually find fossilized shark teeth from several different species. The most famous of which, of course, is the megalodon. And so I've actually done quite a few fossil diving trips as well, where I have found a few megalodon teeth myself. They're super, super cool. Which, anytime I mention the megalodon, people always ask, well, do you think there's any still out there? Because they saw some really dubious and poorly made, quote-unquote, documentary about megalodon. No, guys, there are no megalodon alive out there today. Unfortunately, I wish there were. I would totally go diving with them if they were, but they're not. But we still have some really amazing shark species left around us, like these bull sharks or tiger sharks, great whites. I've been diving with great whites and tigers as well, so plenty of amazing sharks to be able to go out and see. Now, if you want to get out and see some sharks yourself, I highly recommend signing up for a shark diving trip. I bring people out myself on occasion, like this trip right here. You may have seen a few people in the background. I was running this one to bring people out and experience it. Although my shark diving trips are very sporadic, I only run them when I can. My full-time job is my gator work, although I do love running the shark trips. But either way, even if it's not with me, I recommend you get out with a charter and go see them. But do make sure you get out with an experienced charter with people who know what they're doing and have experience in the water with sharks. Again, these animals are not the mindless killing machines that people often think they are, but they are still apex predators, and diving with them is something that has to be done the right way in a safe way. You do it the wrong way, and yes, these animals do occasionally kill people, although such encounters are extremely rare and very much preventable, right? So safety first, guys. But that wraps up this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, let us know what you think, guys, and we'll see you on the next adventure.